Welcome to Prayers to the Dice Gods. I'm Alan, and today we're going to be building our first model from the magazine Imperium. We're even going to try out using the scraping tool that came with it. So we begin by trying to scrape this as it is, so exactly how it came, that little bit of metal with the tip, we'll call it, for lack of a better word. Now, it's very fiddly, it's very hard to handle, and when you're trying to scrape anything, it moves around in your hand because you've got no way to grip it. I persevered for a couple of pieces, and then I had to do something. I had to make some sort of handle for this scraping tool to make sure that it didn't move around so much while I was scraping. I wanted to do a good job. So after looking around my hobby desk for a while and then remembering that I've still got some Winsor & Newton tubes from some of the paintbrushes I ordered, I thought, that might be a good fit. And so I tried sliding it in. With a little bit of pressure, it went in, but it still moved around, so I figured, let's just fix it in place with a bit of blue tack. And what do you know, it worked really well. The scraper tool suddenly became useful. At least that's what I thought at first. It's great if you've got nice flat areas to do. When it comes to trying to get into anything that's got a little bit of a fiddly detail, it doesn't work so well. You can't get it in there, so you can't get to those mold lines with it. But you can if you get a file or a scalpel blade in there. They fit really nicely. I know, weirdly, the file fit, but the scraping tool wouldn't, because it's just too thick. So after cleaning all of the parts up, taking all of those mold lines off, because it is very important you do this, it will change the way your model comes out and help your painting techniques, because if you ever tried to dry brush with a mold line there, it gathers paint really well and makes that work look really bad when it really shouldn't. So remember to always scrape those off. We're going to assemble the model now. I'm a bit of a fan of the new way they've done the model so that they're press fit, though some parts require a lot more pressure than others in order to get them to go on properly. A lot of the times I find I end up clipping those off entirely and just gluing them together like normal, and that gets really fiddly when you try to attach the head, because you've got to get that in between the two parts as you close them. Which, of course, once you start putting them together, that gap is not very big. And this limits the way the head can go, because if you put it in the wrong direction, those parts won't go together properly. So we make sure it's in the right way. It does have a little bobble on the end of the headpiece, which slides into a part inside. So then you close it, and I still had a gap. Not that big a deal. So we'll put the rest of the model together. You can clearly see the lines down the sides of him. Now, if you've been in the hobby for a while, you'll know that there are lots of different ways to fill gaps. Now, you can do that with some putty, you can do that with some green stuff, you can do that with some liquid green stuff, or my personal preference, the Vallejo plastic putty. This stuff is awful. It was designed to fill in the air holes in Games Workshop's resin models. It is absolutely rubbish for filling in gaps. And the main reason for that is because of the amount of shrinkage you get with this compared to this. So if you're looking for one to fill gaps with, get this. That one's rubbish. One of the things I like about Vallejo's plastic putty is if you put it into the gaps, leave it for maybe a minute or so. You don't want it to set completely. Get an old brush, get it damp, make sure there's not too much water on there, otherwise it washes it away. And then just start working over the top, and you will find that you will never have to file that down because you can wash off all the excess and the gap fills really nicely. So he's now fully assembled, his gaps have been done. Of course, when it comes to doing this, I've left the rest of the parts loose because I want to be able to take them off because it makes it easier to paint. But it would have been nice to be able to take him apart again, but because of the size of those gaps, I just didn't see the point. If you've liked the video, do what our Space Marine's doing and destroy that like button. And if you're not already, make like an orc and smash that subscribe button. If you've got any extra hints or tips to make these assemblies a little bit easier, be sure to put them in the comments so that I can give them a try.